let's just start off with a broad question to everybody. If you had somebody come to you and say, I really want to make money online, but I don't know how to do it, what would be your first piece of advice? And let's start with Rosalind.
Rosalind,
now I don't hear Rosalind.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. My first piece of advice is go read my blog. Actually, go find some good trainers, good mentors who have a great reputation, and don't try to do everything immediately. Read what you can first so that you understand a lot about the business before you start, like buy a domain name or register a domain name and buy hosting. Really get a good idea of where you want to go in this business, because there are so many different directions that you can take.
Michael Angier, what's your answer to that one?
Well, I think the first thing I would ask someone is to get very clear on what their target market is. Who is it that they really want to serve? Because if you can't identify your target market, then you're not going to be able to find your target market. And I think that most people want to jump into the how-to of the nuts and bolts and all the things that are involved in getting a website up and getting a newsletter started or whatever they want to do, but they don't start from the beginning, and that is, who is it that you really want to serve, and why is it that you can serve that market well, at least as well as other people, if not better.
Okay, awesome. Let's go with Terri Levine. What's your answer to that?
Well, my answer is, first of all, agreeing with Michael and then adding on to that, along with your target market, knowing what your core unique positioning statement is. What is it that you can do that is uniquely different than anybody else in the marketplace? And you have to have that statement before you start doing any online marketing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. How about Declan Dunn?
I'd approach the question a little bit differently. First, you're not there to make money online. You're there to find customers. Because if you want to make money, you could go get paid to write articles for Upworthy or something like that. I know that sounds nitpicky, but it's not, because the key is what I would do in the very beginning is to what Michael is saying, what Terry's saying, find your customer, know your market. But start out a little differently. Rather than with your business, start out like the customer. Go out and forget like you don't know anything, because they're not going around looking for everything you're selling. Go out like that customer. Go to Google, search a bit. Not too hard, by the way. Go to Facebook. Go to some groups. Find out who they know, like, and trust. Find out the copy, the positioning that everyone else is doing, and don't copy it. Because what you find is everyone sounds the same. So what I'm saying is, when you go out like the customer, forget your product, forget the money for a week or two. Go out like the customer. Not only will it be clear, you'll be able to really see how to put your messaging together. You're going to see the flaws, and most importantly, you're going to start where you should always start with, honoring your customer, connecting with them, and making sure that your message stands out from what everyone else whose competitor is saying about your product. And last thing, if you think you don't have any competition, spend another week as the customer, because you always have competition. It means you haven't looked hard enough. So right back to you.
Yeah, some very good points there, Declan. All right, let's have David. What do you think?
So this gets into what I was kind of alluding to earlier, and it's right up Rosalind's alley, I think, because I started out trying to create products instead of figuring out where the market was and going after the customers, like has been said by Declan and others. The thing that I would do first to make sure that I got this completely under control is I'd start selling affiliate products, and I would find affiliate programs that pay me forever. I'm a big proponent of lifetime referral systems, and so build those base incomes, and then you can really have something to build your own products on after you learn the ropes. So I would affiliate products always, low investment.
Okay, I think Declan did that, and I think Rosalind did that. I think we've got a lot of people here who did that.
That's right.
All right, let's hear from Bill Davis now. What do you think? Bill Davis?
Hey, am I on?
Yep.
Yep, you're on.
All right, cool. Hi, everybody. I totally agree with David. I was going to say that becoming, doing the affiliate marketing side of things is probably the best way to go, because you have to create a lot less assets. And this business is all about creating assets, or at least controlling assets. And, you could start out as an affiliate marketer. You could start out as an affiliate marketer without a website. I don't recommend that, but you certainly could do that. It's the lowest cost of entry. It's definitely the way to go. That's how I started. Apparently, that's how a lot of the people on this panel started. So I definitely go that route. But I do want to say that, you kind of have to start, as with anything in life, I think you have to start with the end in mind. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in a year? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Or where do you want to be in three months? This business changes so fast, and you can do things so quickly nowadays. It's not like when I started back in 1996, for sure, where it took you, sometimes it took me months to create a website. Now I could do it in 5 minutes, seriously. You have to start with the end in mind and work your way back. And one of the first steps that you need to take, probably just to get your feet wet, to get some income going, is to become an affiliate for vendors in a market that you're very passionate about. Because if you're not, and it has to be, something where you can make money too, but if you're not passionate about something, you're not going to stick with it. So that's what I'd say.
Okay, let's go with Raleigh. What do you think?
Hi there. I agree with every one of the people who said to do affiliate marketing, and that's where I began when I first came into the business. Outside of my PR stuff, had to find other books, other people's what they wanted, where they wanted to go. Affiliate marketing was just a beautiful, soft, wonderful cushion to lean on. And from that, though, what I want to say about promotion is that when you said know where you're going to be at the end, I've been taught to find out where you are 6 months out, where you're going to be a year out, where you're going to be 2 years out, and of course you don't know. I've been out 40 years now, so I didn't know then what I know now, but I think that increments are good to know. So I don't think that you rush right into a whole list of affiliates as throwing the dart against the wall. I don't think that's a really good idea. I think studying the marketplace, as everyone has said, I think going out to business meetings, finding out who's there, what they do, how they do their things, listening to any talk that you can go to in your marketplace that's online marketing. Offline, online, social, go out and listen to them. Just immerse yourself and collect the cards, have lunch, have dinner, talk to the people where you would like to be 6 months, 9 months, a year, etc. out. I think that you have to build your bridges before you decide to cross them. And that's where I would go, to just what everybody else said, and just that I'm in PR, so I would promote a little differently. But I'd still be promoting just as they.
Yeah, okay, that totally makes sense. And how about Bill Guthrie? What are your thoughts?
It's interesting because I think I may be the only person on the panel that's of an age where when I got started, these were the people that I was listening to. So that's kind of cool for me. Thank you. I would say that, I think, to repeat the question slightly different, I think when you say, well, if you just want to get started online, marketing and to make some money online, I think that in people's mind they have the idea of create a simple website and it just starts spitting out money, right? And so some of the advice here is it'll spit out money with affiliate marketing, and whether that's true or not, I think that's a debatable thing in the time that it takes. What I would honestly say to someone if they were saying they wanted to get started would be to let them know they need to figure out something that they want to get good at. So an affiliate really needs to get good at traffic. You have to get good at traffic, right? Like that's your job as an affiliate, to move traffic to an offer. And so I think that we have to, part of my answer would be a question to them saying, well, what is it that you're prepared to get good at? Do you want to get good as a writer? Do you want to get good at search engines? Do you want to get good at paid traffic? Like, what is it that you really want to get? You want to get good at being creative? And I think that if I had some more information from there, I love what Mike said at the beginning. It's really about figuring out who you want to serve. And I think that's a huge idea there, is to say, well, who do you want to serve? And then how are you going to serve them? How are you going to be able to get that offer in front of them? And so, it's a hard answer. I don't know if affiliate marketing would be my answer these days, but I know that that's, a very successful model.
Yeah. Okay. So some very good thoughts from everybody there. Now, we have some questions from the audience, and I will get to those, but there's a few things that I want to establish first, so we kind of have a foundation here. One of them is, I know that all of you have come across marketers who teach what I call the profit model. So it's market research, it's keyword research, it's do your testing, do your tracking, and it's all about increased ROI, but not necessarily in an area you're interested in. They're teaching to research what's popular online, what other people are looking for. They're teaching you to research basically the most profitable markets. And then there's the other side of the coin that I call the passion camp, and most of the answers here fall into that category, where it's things like find what you're passionate about, find what your unique, what your skills are, what your talents are, what drives you, what you want to offer, what you're going to give to the customer. And ultimately, I mean, we do need a balance, obviously. There's no point in going out and following your passion if there's no money there. However, at the same time, if you're going to follow something that's just making you money, it's going to be a short-term venture, because we can't just continue doing what we don't love day in and day out. So are there any thoughts on that dichotomy? I'm just going to throw it out there if anyone wants to add anything to that, what you really feel is the most important, where the balance is, or if you even think that one side's important, then let's just get rid of the other side. Anybody?
Yeah, it's Terry. This is one of the things that I often address, because I've seen a lot of business owners make the mistake of just following their passion and not looking at whether or not their passion is something that's profitable. Is there a niche? Are there people who have money to spend on this? Is this something people want, or is this just, like a pet rock that's out there? And so I do think that you have to balance both. I do think that as much as people do not like to do market research, you have to do market research. You just can't throw something out there just because it's your passion. But I'm not saying, and I want to be clear about this, I'm not saying go do something that you hate. After all, I wrote the book Work Yourself Happy, not work yourself miserable. But find something that you enjoy, but that there is a market for. You want to make sure that you do have buyers, because after all, this is a business. You're in this to make money. Otherwise, it's a hobby. So I feel very strongly about that, and I'd like to hear from the other panelists.
Yeah, I would say that to me, it's a little bit about, like, what's the language that you want to talk in? I think it's it's not so much about a passion, because I think you're right. You said something about a pet rock. That's a great analogy. But what kind of language are you really excited about, and something that you want to learn more about? So that could be the language of golf, and you could suck at golf, but say, you know what, I really like golf, and I'd love to learn more about it, and I like talking about golf, and I like watching golf, and so it could be a sort of passion, but to me, it's really about that language. I don't think it's by accident that a lot of folks on these panels over the 5 days start talking about marketing, because at some point we just love the language of marketing. We may have gotten involved at we may have started as, Rosalind starts as an affiliate. She wasn't, an internet marketing affiliate. She was an affiliate of various products or whatever. And at some point she goes, man, I love thinking about marketing. I love split testing. I love this stuff. That's really what my passion is. And I think if you can identify that language, it takes you to a really strong passion.
Okay.
No, I actually hate split testing, but yeah, most of the stuff to deal with marketing. But I totally agree that you have to you have to do the research. But the whole thing about, you know, doing all that keyword research and blah, 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 like, I'm sorry, I think the passion always has to come first. And I started in the dating industry. Like, seriously, who isn't, you know, at some point in their life concerned about that? Right? Big market. Nowadays, it's a little bit of a different story. If you wanted to get into that market, you would have to niche it down to, you know, gay Spanish, I don't know, dog lovers or something like that to make it work. But, you know, there's always, I like what you said about the way, I can't remember the way you phrased it, but just what you like to talk about and how you like to talk about it, and how the language, enjoying the language of it, that really is all about it. I can imagine the neophyte golfer getting out there and talking about their experience on a, you know, like whenever they go out there, and their observations of the game as they learn it, and seeing that being extremely entertaining to a lot of people, and this person making money, you know, talking about the products that they, you know, that they find and like, and that's kind of the approach I've always taken to, you know, to it. You either know a lot about it or you're willing to learn a lot about it.
Yeah.
You know, we had, can I just jump in here for a second?
Yeah, go for it.
The workshop that I conduct, who had a passion for embroidery, and I thought, you know, how can you make any money in embroidery? And this woman was making 120 grand a year teaching other people how to do embroidery.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it was a passion that she had, but it's something I was completely not interested in. Mm-hmm. So the thing about passion for me, from other people, for other people who ask me that question, is I think you've got to have the passion, but I also think you have to have the discipline to be able to be incredibly honest with yourself about this. Is this going to make me money, or am I willing to make this a hobby? And that's it. If it's not going to make you money, then you got to find something else and be passionate about that too.
David, I love what you're saying. I'm sorry, Heather, do you mind?
Go ahead, Declan. Go for it. I want to hear what you have to say, actually. So.
Thank you. No, but David, you know, because passion without a business model is a hobby. And I've actually know from my very first days in business way back in the mid-'80s, I love writing poetry and I love doing creative paintings. And I can tell you, there's no way I would be sitting here if that was what I tried to make a business out of. You know, as they say, it sounds really weird, but I come from that end where I had to learn that your passion is driving it, but it's a journey. So when you first try something, you may say, hey, I'm really passionate about this, and there's the great part of that. But that may not have a business. And maybe in my case, what I do is a lot more fun doing as a hobby. It's so much more free rather than trying to turn it into a business, which it really isn't. So when you actually look for it, sometimes the thing I hate about the passion end is the way people sell, all you need is a passion. Oh, just be passionate. And it bothers me because I want them to really be into it. That's really important. But for a lot of us, I'll tell you, I had a journey wandering around till I really found what I loved doing on a regular basis, and that also had a business model that could turn it into a real business and enjoy that journey. Sometimes you're looking for the passion in what you do, and not a lot of us will always do what we're passionate about, like, oh, every day. I hope you do, because that comes from you, not from what you do. But find a business that you can show up and do and have some fun to it, because what everyone's saying is, bottom line is, if it's not fun, you're going to stop doing it, even if you consciously don't know it. So make sure you find what you really like doing, and if it's not this, keep going.
Okay, and that segues into something else that I would like to ask you guys. Raleigh, I'll ask you your opinion. This kind of fits in, so let me throw this out there first, and you might have something to add to this as well.
Okay.
So when we're doing anything in life, and entrepreneurship is one of those things, there's really two sides of the coin. There's what I call the inner world. We can fit passion there. That's also attitude, mindset. We can get into metaphysics. We can talk about law of attraction. These are the things that are core to you that allow you to succeed or fail in whatever you undertake. And then there's what we have that I call the outer world, which is, someone mentioned at the beginning, the hands-on how-tos. So we can tell you, this is how you do this. This is step-by-step, how you put up a website. This is how you do keyword research. This is how you work with Google Analytics. This is how you place Google AdWords. Those are all the outer world stuff. But ultimately, 99% of people, and I may have that stat wrong, but it seems to me like 99% of people fail when they try to start an online business. And I'm going to attribute that to the fact that even though they had access to all the outer world how-to stuff, they were missing something with the inner world. So, Raleigh, I'd like to know your opinion on that. You can tie in the passion question as well.
Okay, thank you. When I would have clients, PR clients, and they'd say, oh yeah, I want to be on this show, I want to be on Good Morning America and all of this, and I would explain to them that what the niche is that they're talking about it's not going to make it. So we'd have to tame them down a little and find out what they really are good at within their niche. So the niche is wonderful, but you have to figure out what's going to work within that niche. And that's what I think a lot of people who immediately get up websites, etc. I've had 30 years of watching this happen, that well, they want to do here, but what they really are good at within that here is over here. And trying to get people acclimated to that core, and that again is they have a passion, but the passion can be better serviced in here. So to get people to understand that, Terry is a good coach, Declan, people that I've worked with for a long period of time, but to get people to understand that, I think, is the blessing that we have to offer people, is to not just say, oh yeah, sure, okay, here it is, but to help them to, they're malleable, and to get them in there. And unfortunately, there are people that can't and won't, and I think that's when we step out.
Yeah, okay. Now, Michael Angier, I know this is right up your alley when I'm talking about the inner world, the outer world, the passion, all of that. So I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Well, thanks. I think I'd like to go back to something Stephen Covey said years and years ago, and that is no profit, no mission. So it really is a balance. It's not a case of one or the other. I think to me the secret, if there is one, is to marry your passion with an actual business plan and with an actual ready market. So we created a course last year called Lifestyle Business System, and really a big piece of that is marrying your passion to a ready market. And so I don't think it's one or the other. It's, to me, the magic happens when you've got that passion and you've got a viable business plan with a ready market, a market that can afford it, somebody that can write the check, and a target market that you can find. So it's to me it's a meshing of both of those worlds.
Yeah. Ultimately, everything's a balance. Life is yin and yang. So we have to find that balance in whatever we do. Terri Levine, did you have any thoughts on the power of the inner world versus the outer world, and what people should focus on?
Yeah, thanks, Heather. I really do. I always start people off by saying you first have to get the inner right before you can get the outer right. And a lot of people don't have the mindset right. And until you get the inner lined up and your inner landscape lined up, it's really hard to work on the outer of your business. So when you get the inner lined up, then you can take the right inspired outer actions. And I just think that's an important point to say here too.
Yeah, definitely. Does anyone else have anything to add to that before we go on to questions from the audience?
Yeah,
yes.
Go ahead. Oh, this is Bill. I just wanted to say that there's really kind of like there's three pillars to this, I think. That one is passion, and we beat that dead horse. And we also want to know what makes money, but we also, I think, should kind of think about what we're good at, because you could be good at something but absolutely hate it. Like, I'm really good at writing content for other people, but I hate it. I like writing my own content. So I definitely don't want to be a ghostwriter or a content writer for somebody else, even though I'm really good at it. I have no passion for it, and it makes me money. And when I want to make extra money, I do that, but there's really nothing there, So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay. And someone else wanted to say something. I'm not sure who that was. Was it Raleigh?
Yeah, yes, and
Okay.
Bill just said it really well, and so did everyone else. And it was just a recap. And in wanting, when I get a client, I first ask them to make a list of what they believe in. You know, not the it has to do with the inner what you're talking about, but it's not really. You know, it's really, who are you? Where do you come from? What are your goals? And I have this checklist that I put out, and if I don't feel, after going through the checklist over and over, not and over again, but just a little bit, if I don't see what they should be able to see or where it should go, then I step out of it. So the checklist is what I'm talking about. The checklist, I think, is a very important part of any type of communicating with anybody who's online, you know, who's doing the work that we're talking about, is getting to the core first, and then seeing how it stands up against what it is they can do, are willing to do, you know, should do, etc., and then how it turns out.
Can I say one more thing?
Okay. Yes, go for it.
The thing about passion for me and business together, and I love what everybody said, you can't do one without the other, or you can if you have a passion for making money. That could be the other thing that you have there, right?
That's a good point.
So, but one of the things is that if you don't have the passion for it, you will end up being able to kill your passion if you're not very careful. If you don't, I did this. I was a photographer for 20 years, a good one, and I loved it. I turned it into a business, and I hated it because I didn't make any money with it. But the thing about passion in business is, if you are passionate about your business, you're going to do anything you can to make it successful because you love the passion. But if you're not committed, you're going to kill the passion, and you're going to end up losing big time. So that, to me, commitment is the absolute most important thing you can do in addition to passion. But to me, commitment is.
Yeah. You know what? I think bottom line is the willingness to work your butt off.
Absolutely.
However, if you love it, it doesn't feel like work, right?
Exactly. No, and that's exactly it. But that's what people really don't understand until they actually get involved in doing it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And
okay, let's go to some questions.
One other thing, and I think if you love it, you should be willing to let it go if it doesn't work.
That's true as well. Yes.
Absolutely.
If you love something, set it free.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to get into some questions from the audience here. We have one from Thomas from Michigan, who wants to know, how do you stay focused with so many distractions out there? Let's go to Bill Guthrie.
Unmute. Okay. I think the easiest way to stay focused is to know what you're doing, and to really have a plan of action every day or every week or every month, or whatever your project entails. That there are a series of steps that need to be taken, and I think that where we can start to get highly distracted is when we don't really know, and suddenly we're on the internet looking over here, looking in Facebook. I mean, there's so many time killers out there. I think we all fall prey to them. But even in those minutes, you have to realize I'm screwing around and I know it. But that's okay, because I can go back over here to the recipe that I have to follow to get whatever needs to be done. So I think so much of that comes from not knowing what to do next, not knowing the order in which you should be doing something. And then it just, by that uncertainty, it just allows us to get highly distracted. And even though I work at home, I kind of keep business hours, and I try to keep my door closed. My kids want to run around and things like that, and I've got to kind of manage myself. But I think it's really critical to know exactly what you're doing, and then that, if you know what the next thing that you're going to do is, my guess is you're more likely to do that than to, just screw around with something else. What do you guys think?
You know, Bill, there is an app for that. The distraction app.
Yeah, there are.
And I forget what it's called. Jim Edwards wrote an email about it years and years and years ago. But seriously, it keeps you focused. It won't let you visit certain websites if you're doing something. And I found it really quite helpful for a while.
Actually, just to give a plug to someone in the industry who we all know, Mark Joyner's Simpleology also has that aspect to it as well.
Perfect.
Yeah. And I would just like to ditto what's already been said on this, because it's all right for sure. But I would suggest two things. One is that it's really easy to avoid distractions when you have a very powerful why. So if you have an emergency in your life, that has your full attention, and you're not going to have much in the way of distractions. And I'm not advocating management by emergency, but certainly management by urgency. And urgency is something that will eliminate a lot of distractions for sure. So I think if you build your why up, if you've got something that you just absolutely have to accomplish, you're not going to get distracted all that well. And then the second thing is to get really good at saying no, because I think you have to say no to the good so you can say yes to the great in order to make real progress.
Yeah. Okay.
Heather, can I add something?
Yeah, go for it, Terry.
One of my favorite expressions is one focus, one goal. So I wake up every day with just one thing to do. I turn my email program off. I turn my phones off. And I'm in an interruption-free zone until I get that one thing done. And when that's done, then I can take a quick look at email and take a quick scan to see if I have any phone calls to return. And that really helps me get a lot done.
I really like the sound of that, Terry. However, it stresses me out not to have checked my email first thing, because I think that there's emergencies, there's clients I need to deal with, and I can't get into that relaxed state until I do make sure that my emails are checked.
There's so many people that think that way. That's what I was going to say. They'll still be there, and that's just a mindset thing. And I tell all my clients, just get into the habit of doing that, and you're going to find that actually you'll have a lot less stress. Try it for 14 days, Heather, and let me know.
Okay, I will. I'll do that for you, Terry.
Heather, that's because you're not a full-time affiliate marketer. You wouldn't have to be worrying about all those clients if you were.
Right. Yeah, very good point. Okay, let's go to Declan. I want to hear what Declan has to say about focus.
Well, I was just reading an article. Research shows that Americans, why we work more than anyone in the world, is because we're always multitasking. And we're adding hours when actually people work less. They're more efficient. They're more productive. Their revenue goes up. We all think we can outwork the problem. And what we're saying here that I so agree with is you got to set boundaries, like turn off. I mean, I have people who study email and then they complain they have 400 emails. I don't study email. I have social media, which tells me everything that's cool, and I go study that. But I set a boundary to it because when you do one thing, when you focus on it, you're more productive, you waste less time, but to the point of email, you set a boundary where that's it. I'm doing email for this, and I'm not doing it beyond that. And that discipline is so powerful because your work improves, you work less hours, and this thing we all love to multitask, and the multitasking is actually what I see destroying more businesses and people starting up. They write to-do lists that would choke a horse, cut them down to 3 or 4 things. The focus is you're sort of allowing the distractions. Remember, you have control is all I'm saying. And that the less you do, the way more successful and happy you will be. And it doesn't seem like that when you start, but it really is when you start cutting things rather than adding things.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, I am perfectly able to take my focus off the email at a certain point and cut it off, but I still have that tendency to want to see it first thing. Now, we have a follow-up question from the audience who wants to know, how do I know what a successful mindset looks like, and how do I get one? So, who wants to take that? Michael, you're up. You're already on screen. So
I think that's the toughest question so far.
Success, Matt, you should have the answer to this.
I know you'd think that I would.
Yeah.
But I think the whole idea of mindset is a very big thing indeed, and I think that I think you have to commit to a lifetime of personal growth and development. and constantly be working on your attitude and your mindset, because otherwise, I mean, if you don't program your mind, somebody else is going to program it for you. And there's a lot of things that program our minds. So I think the first thing is to make the commitment to constantly improve upon the way that you look at the world and the way that you look at your life. And you know, I think that's going to be a little different for different people. And you know, I haven't seen one particular path that, you know, it works for everyone.
Oh, agreed.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, Raleigh, did you want to say something on that?
Yes. I just started a new part of my company, and it's called the Attitude of Gratitude.
Nice.
So my URL is creating gratitude, and it falls into what Michael was talking about, and that's what I teach. And I teach it to these hardcore people who have said nasty things and walked away on, you know, their heels and stuff, that it can't work and you can't, we don't have any money and what you promised doesn't work and blah 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 blah. So I decided that I had just about had it up to here, you know, with this kind of a stuff, and so I decided that I asked myself, what's most important to me? And what was most important to me was gratitude. And just, you know, a phrase is just being glad, being happy. How do I know my mindset is what you were talking about? When I can smile all day, and there's that poem about then you'll be a man, my son. You know, so yeah, you know, when I can smile, even if I'm feeling bad, if I can still smile, if I can sleep all night or all the way through, if I can love what I'm doing and knowing full well that some of it needs to be redone, you know, or done a different way, but I'm happy to be able to do that. That's my gratitude, and that's what I'm teaching now to my clients who come in with this cross-eyed look on and utter sleeplessness of, I can't do it. You know, one more and I'm just finished. You know, so that's so it's an attitude of gratitude.
Okay. Does anyone else have any thoughts on how to develop a successful mindset?
I do, Heather. It's focusing on one question for me, and it's what is working? What is working? When our mind is going to what's not working and what's wrong and all the problems and all the challenges, I just snap myself back and I go, okay, what is working? And that helps me keep my mind positive, and it works really well for me.
So Heather, I think this is an incredibly important question, and people have to get this, because for a person starting out, if you don't have the right mindset, you're going to dig a hole that you can't get out of. My first mentor was Mark Hendricks, and after struggling for about 18 months, I just finally went to him, threw my hands up in the air and said, when am I going to start making money? And he said, when are you going to decide to? And that was really a key phrase for me. It was my decision. I had to be willing to do what it takes to be successful in this business. And that's the mindset that you got to have, I think. Be willing.
Yeah, I think to pick up where David's saying, the question is, you know, what's a successful mindset? But I like it better if it was, what's the mindset of success? And because successful mindset implies that there's this one mindset that everyone, if I just found that mindset, it would be, and made it mine, it'd be amazing. But I think that what we all share in common is that even though we approach things differently, our mind is set on success, and that is going to imply a lot of hard work and effort and research and teamwork and all, you know, being able to establish reasonable expectations for ourselves, and then be able to map those things out and meet those expectations. That to me is the mindset of success that we probably all, even though we're doing it differently, have very much in common.
Okay. There's this question here that's kind of along these lines, so let's just throw this one out here. Mark says, given what you know today, to become a successful information marketer, what 3 habits would you have adopted? So, Bill Davis, do you have an answer to that one?
Yeah, repeat the question?
Given what you know today, in order to become a successful information marketer, but we can say whatever the business happens to be, he's focused on information marketing. To become a successful business owner, let's say, what 3 habits would you have adopted? So hindsight being 20/20.
Yeah, so I'm not sure that all of these are going to be habits, but one of the things is just brutal consistency. You know, we have a tendency to kind of screw around because we have this, you know, quote unquote lifestyle business, and that's all crap. You really have to work hard. You really, really have to work hard. I mean, there's no getting around that. I mean, I know there are people out there in our business who seem to not work very hard, but I think they all work really hard. And a lot of that work is not just putting your head down and getting stuff done. It's thinking, you know, being thoughtful about your business. Where do you want to take it? Where do you want to go? All the things we've already talked about. What's your passion? What's going to make you money? What's working now? What's not? How do I improve it? So it's really brutal consistency. That's number one. Number two, you know, one of the things that I didn't do when I first started out, and again, this isn't a habit, but it's a practice that I should have done, and I would recommend to everybody else that they do, and that is that you start building your list, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an email list, but it's your list of people, customers, prospects, whatever, that you can reach out to at a moment's notice, and you know, offer information, offer a service, offer a product. A lot of us, especially the people who start out with affiliate marketing, we don't even think about that. And then 4 years down the road, you're like, I don't even have a list now. I don't have a list of buyers or anything like that. I gave my list of buyers to the vendor. And I guess the third thing really is, and this is kind of sound like it flies in the face of what I said for the first one about, you know, brutal consistency. But you have to be consistent in this too, and that is you have to have downtime. Many of us work, quote unquote, you know, 16 hours a day, and it kills us. And we're not really getting a lot done though. So I fashion myself as kind of like the ultimate slacker, in that I don't do a lot of stuff every day. I really don't. I don't. You know, I'm not one of those guys who plays video games, but I socialize. I'm out there. I'm shaking hands virtually or physically, but I have bursts of incredible output where I can get a lot of stuff done. I can get more stuff done in an hour than most people I know can get done in a day, and that's because I've put enough thought into it to know what I need to do, and I just get it done. And that goes back to mindset too, to touch on that for a second, and then I'll go. But mindset to me is I think Bill said it. It's not really. It's kind of like saying, you know, that girl you should be dating has a great personality. She has a great mindset. That doesn't work. What you have to have is you have to look at, because there are different ways to get there. You know, not everybody has this one mindset that's success. It's successful people have various mindsets, and you know, you have your own. You'll figure it out. But it really is all about, what do I want? What's at the end of the road, and how do I get there? It's really just a roadmap. And everybody knows that the path to success is not a straight line. It's the zigzaggedy line. But you still have to course correct and figure out where you want to be. And that's the hardest part of this whole thing about getting started, is because most of us don't know where we want to be. So I think you have to figure that out first. Where do I want to be? How do I get there?
Good.
Can I jump in?
Heather, can I jump on? Go ahead, Rosalind.
I just want to agree with Bill, especially on the point of the email list. And anybody who's new and listening to this, you know, thinks, oh, that's another thing I have to do. I consider it. That was one of the first things I learned, and I'm so glad to, or thankful to Corey Rudel for having taught me that right from the beginning. But I don't really consider it about building a list. It's about cultivating relationships with people, and I found it extremely valuable. I had a period there where actually my hosting service provider died. None of my sites were online, but I did have my Aweber account, and I tell you that worked a charm. I was still making money, and it wasn't like I was trying to make money at that point. I was kind of bemoaning to the world about, you know, the loss of my friend and all my sites. And but anyway, yes, cultivate those relationships, and use an autoresponder service. Absolutely, don't do it yourself. Use an autoresponder service.
Okay. Michael, what did you want to say?
Yeah, I like the fact that that I agree with all that's been said. So dittos on that. But I like the fact that the caller or the participant asked for 3 things, because I'm a big advocate for the number 3, and I think that you can focus on 3 big goals, but you can't focus on 25 big goals. So first of all, I think it's great to have the 3, and at the risk of being a little bit self-serving, I actually wrote a book about the 3C formula for getting what you truly want, and that really comes down to 3 things, and I talk about this a lot, and I try to do it myself. Like all of this stuff, it's easier to preach about it than it is to do. But the three things are clarity, concentration, and consistency. And if you get clear on what you want, why you want it, how you're going to get there, that's the first step. And the second is to be focused, to be concentrated. So how can you concentrate? And we talked a little bit about this earlier. And then the third is just being consistent. And so in everything that I attempt, whether it's a project or a big goal or just running my business, it's where am I in those 3 areas? Am I clear enough? Am I focused and concentrated enough? And am I consistent about it? Because you can do a lot of things right, but if you aren't consistently doing those things, it's not going to work for you.
Yeah. Okay. Now, we're halfway through the show right now, and our producer, Zane Miller, has something to share with the audience, so we're going to take a little break, and here's a word from Zane Miller.
Awesome, thank you. So what you're seeing right now, this is my screen that I'm sharing right here. So what you're seeing right here is this link that's right here in the description. You can see it right here and now. If you click on this link, you will be taken to the Fantastic 40 Google Plus community. This is where we will be continuing this conversation. I mean, if you think this first hour is good, then definitely stick around for the next hour, as well as continue over here to the Google Plus community. You do have to ask to be let in, but I'll let you in right away. And this is also where the panelists will be. This is where they will be continuing the conversation, and if they have gifts or they have maybe some extra consulting, something to continue that relationship, it will all be here in the community. Also, all of the schedules for the upcoming days will also be here. Everything that you need as far as information goes for this event and continual conversations that we'll be having in the future with the panelists, as well as their amazing products and gifts. This is the place to go. So please go over to the community if you want some more information on that. And that was it. Thank you, Heather.
Okay. Now, Bill Guthrie is typing one habit at least into the chat box over here. So, Bill, do you want to share that with the audience?
Yeah, I said my 3 were a great habit is to sleep. I think that you got to get your sleep. I know that sounds a little silly, but if you're just starting, when I was just starting, I had a full-time job and a lot of other responsibilities, and so I ended up compromising a lot. And so I would definitely recommend people sleep. Another good habit that I would recommend would be to always be wanting to learn something. And because I think that marketing and online marketing is, as it has been repeated already, is a system of learning, and you've got to always be in the mindset of wanting to learn something. And then also to experiment and to be someone who's bold enough to try things. This could be try a different market, try a different type of traffic source, get out of your comfort zone as much as possible with your business. Anyways, those are 3 that I liked.
Okay, nice. And Raleigh, did you have some habits to share?
Oh, you need to unmute yourself, Raleigh, real quick.
Yes. Oh, there we go. I got caught in my habit. One of my habits that I try very hard to keep is to smile. I think that's real important. Also to eat. Many of us just barrel through the day and we don't eat or we don't drink enough water. So I think keeping healthy is a very good habit to get into. And the third habit is to sing. I don't sing very well, but I was taught that if you hum a lot and if you sing, and even if it's off key, it's a really good habit to get into. Do it by yourself, or if you have an animal, put him somewhere else. Pull it somewhere else so it doesn't attack. But the joy that it brings and the ease that it has that goes through your body allows you to do the other habits that you probably are not really interested in doing. So.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of what I call karaoke, and that's a
Yes.
word I coined myself. Singing at the top of my lungs in the car. Yes, absolutely. I don't care what other drivers think.
Right.
It is what it is.
Right. That's good.
All right. Okay, I got two questions here that are kind of similar, so I'm going to throw them together. One is from I'm going to murder that. I'm not going to say his name. He's from Spain, and he wants to know, what do you do to overcome the barriers that people put up themselves to change? And we have another question, which is very similar. How did you overcome the fears and internal negativity you may have had? So let's hear about overcoming barriers to change and overcoming internal fears and negativity. How about Rosalind? I think you're muted.
Okay, I'm unmuted now.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? I love change. I love challenge. I was an air traffic controller for almost 20 years. So, I mean, change is just something that I just like, right? Like, it's interesting. It's fun. It's what keeps the juices going. And fears, I had a best friend, and one day I called him up. My income had come down a little bit, like by about 2/3 1 month, which was a lot at the time. And so I called him up and I said, hey, so if all this is for naught, may I have, like your spare bedroom, and would you paint it green? And he said, of course. And he did. And well, actually, he moved in with me into my big house. But so I don't know, just having that soft place to land, or knowing that you have that soft place to land is a very good thing. It's like, it was. I don't deal well with fear, so I just kind of work. I like to just put that aside. Some of the scariest people I know are fearful people. So, yeah. Enough said.
Okay. Now, the interesting thing is, you say you like change. Most people have some level of fear of change. That's why we have what we call the comfort zone. And nobody wants to get out of the comfort zone because, by definition, it's comfortable. So, Terri Levine, I know you have something to say about this.
I do. I think that entrepreneurs are natural risk takers, and that while we have fear, we take action and just do it anyway, sort of the Nike expression. And so I'm not saying that I didn't have fear. I quit a corporate job where I was making, a high six-figure income and stock options and bonuses, but I did it and said, I'm going to be successful. I'm going to take steps and take action every day. And I literally never had a doubt that I would be successful. So it's, again, going back to what we talked about, it's the inner game, it's the self-confidence, and it's taking daily consistent action. So I never let myself down. And it's the belief that success was the only option. And I find that entrepreneurs carry that flame, carry that torch.
Yeah. There's actually a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
Yeah.
And I don't know who wrote it, but I'm sure someone on the panel knows who wrote it. But that's a phrase that I like that. Declan, what do you think?
I think it begins with the concept that anything stays the same. I mean, what I just said isn't even the same anymore. We're in a dynamic world. And it really is you see mobile media is making us see all these crazy things come out of people. Actually, just as an aside, I love that all the internal questions are happening, not real marketing questions, because that's where somebody starts.
Yeah, exactly.
But what it is you're seeing things go, and you see all these people's self-talk. And if you look at that nuttiness, and you look at that person on Facebook going, that person's always negative. Yes. And what it is what's your own self-talk. And that's really where all fear comes from, because you're either scared of what happened to you or judge yourself. And as we all know, it just comes with age. Just let it go. Oh, my God, forgive everyone, as Tuesdays with Maury said. But the other thing is you're afraid of the future. So what you end up doing is spinning. And meanwhile, guess where you are? Right here, right now. Because change is the reality. Being static is the illusion. And the funniest thing is, I actually taught this. I had 25 employees, 12 of who run their own companies now. And it was part of the thing that they freaked out. They're like, wait, I just want to go to this job, do the same thing every day, and just pay me. And I said, well, you're not going to work here, because that's not the way this business works. And frankly, it's not the way anything works. But I said, let's reverse your mindset a little bit and say, you're so afraid of it not working out when we all know it most often doesn't in life and in business. So our attitude was, I taught them, and this was so cool, is when it works, be amazed. Stop expecting anything. When it works, cherish it, be grateful. And when it doesn't, just look at it as how, like Bill was saying, how am I going to learn? And that's really the key. And that little shift, just get off your own back, is the biggest thing. You wouldn't talk that way to other people. Don't talk that way to yourself. And those fears, they won't go away, but they're really like not as fun as love.
You know, Declan, it's like you're talking in a sequence of song titles here. I love it. He said, Let It Go, which is the big smash from Frozen. He said, Right Here, Right Now, Jesus Jones, one of my favorite songs of all time. We might as well throw in Nobody Said It Was Easy, because that's pretty much what you said in a nutshell. But yeah, let's all sing now.
And God's
Yeah, let's not.
So Heather, I've got something if I could.
Okay.
All right. So I think that if someone really wants to be successful in business, you've really got to be comfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable, because change is going to happen. If you don't like change, you're going to like obsolescence even less, because that's what's going to happen. And I think I talked to so many people over the years who say, "Oh, I'm just afraid of failure. Or I'm afraid of success," and you've got to actually become comfortable at failing at things, because you're not going to do everything right. There's just no way to do it. Things are changing too fast. You're changing. The market is changing. Your customers are changing. The technology's changing. You've got to be willing to just step out there and fail fast. So that doesn't mean...
and you know what? The fear of failure is probably the stupidest fear out there, because if you don't do something because you're afraid to fail, you've already failed.
Right.
And in reality, failure is just a stepping stone towards success. So what's to be afraid of? I don't get it. Anyway, Raleigh, I know.
I just like to take that whole word out of the vocabulary. And when people use that word with me, I just say, I don't know that word. You know, it's not a word that I work with, and any of the synonyms that go with it. And so that's how I've been able to sing. But I want to talk about, we were talking about before about fear. There's this old story about the kid who he was looking for something, and he found his parents brought him home a big pile of warm, gooey stuff, and the kid just jumped right into it, and dug really deep down. And the parents said, "What are you looking for?" And he said, "I know there's a pony in here somewhere." That's kind of like how I live my life.
Okay.
Looking for that pony.
Right.
I found many ponies, by the way.
Bill Davis, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I think we have to confront our fear, and one of the comforting things about fear is you can observe other people, and other people may or may not have the same fear, but they're out there doing it. So you have to have confidence that, you know what, I can do that too. So when I was 20, I got a job cleaning windows on a skyscraper in San Francisco, and I was afraid of heights. But I did it anyway, and I did it only because I was able to do it only because the other two guys there were doing it too. And they were just as likely to fall off that scaffolding as I was. So it applies to business too. There are other people out there who have succeeded doing the same thing that you're trying to do. You're no less talented. You're no less committed. You just have a doubt in your mind that maybe you can't do it, and that's the fear. The fear of the unknown is extremely powerful, and I'm not going to say you need to get rid of it. I think fear is healthy in a lot of cases. You should be afraid of the guy coming at you with a gun. That's a rational fear. But as far as business goes, none of us, I can't say this for everybody, but I don't think most of us put our entire livelihood on the line. and I don't think you should. I think you should. I think Bill said it earlier that he had a full-time job before he became as successful as he is. I think if you have a full-time job now, stick with it. Do this, 2, 3, 4 hours a night. You can do it. You can make the time. I know a lot of people who've stayed up till 2, 3, 4 in the morning getting this done, sleeping 2 hours a night, 3 hours a night, going back to work. You can get this done for short periods of time. So, and then you kind of, teeter-totter and you do the balance and you see if you can, kind of offload some of your full-time work and pick this up. And at some point, you're going to be able to do it. But you really have to confront your fear and be comforted in knowing that other people are doing the same thing that you're trying to do and they've been successful.
Right, yeah, I agree. We can't go the denial route because then you're just shoving it down and not dealing with it, and it'll rear its ugly head another way. And the other point is, fear is a primal instinct that we have. The challenge is, you're talking about healthy fears such as someone pulling a gun or, a wild animal coming after you. But our bodies react the same way, whether it's that kind of legitimate fear or whether it's a fear we make up in our minds. So how do you what's the process you use to distinguish, this is something I don't have to worry about, this is something I should?
Well, I have 3 kids and one on the way, and one of my kids really is fearful of roller coasters. And I tell him, and it hasn't gotten through yet, he's 8, I tell him that watch this roller coaster run. Nobody has fallen out. Nobody has gotten hurt. Everybody comes out there. Some people are terrified, but everybody gets off there safe and sound. What are you afraid of? It's a fear, but it's not really a rational one because odds are nothing is going to happen to you. I mean, I know there are occasions where roller coasters get stuck and stuff like that, but it doesn't happen that often. So you need to just explain, what is the real danger here versus what is your perceived danger here.
Right.
And I think we make a lot of this stuff up in our minds.
We do. Yeah.
Zig Ziglar had a great quote, Heather. He for fear, he said it stood for false evidence appearing real.
Yeah.
And I think that's very true.
Yeah. Yeah, and Bill was talking about the real evidence being the gun or whatever it is. So, yeah, absolutely. Does anyone else have anything to add about change, negativity, and or fear before we move on?
Yeah, I wanted to say just about fear. One of the things that I learned just in life is that your fear really has the most to teach you. The things that I've been really scared about are the things I really needed to learn. And I could either learn them or just stop. And it's not an easy way to deal with it. Not, obviously, if I have a gun pointed in my head, which I've had, I just looked at the guy and I remember cracking up and said, well, if you kill me, it's probably the nicest thing you ever did to anybody. Now, luckily, now my life's over and I'm a hero. I have no idea where I came out, but at that point, he was off of his mind. I was on Haight Street in San Francisco. He was crazy. And what was funny is he chuckled. And I was scared, fight or flee response, but really it just taught me something that no matter what it is, you have so much to learn. And when you turn that into it, not to be afraid of everything, but usually the stuff I've been most afraid of, like heights, I ended up painting on a house 20 feet in the air as my leg shook. And I just said, stop. Mm-hmm. You're just on a ladder, man. You're not going to fall off. And it wasn't that simple, but I'm just saying, look at them as something to learn from.
I want to jump on that too. Declan, you're not the one with the gun to their head, by the way. I've had that happen to me as well. It ain't fun, but you react the way you need to react. So the thing I wanted to say about the fear and the change piece, to me, they're completely related, because anytime there's change, fear is going to happen. I don't care who you are. Anytime you have any change, fear is going to happen. And the person said the question was, how do you get over your fears? I don't get over my fears. I never get over my fears. I just do what has to be done next. And Michael said earlier about the management by urgency. That is the best way to get through it for me, because I just look at what has to be done and do it. That's the thing I have to keep in front of me. The other thing I'd say about fear is, I lost a business in 1995, and I was homeless, living in my car for 3 months. And, anytime anything happens to, by the way, that car, The reason I don't have that car anymore is because a tree fell on it while I was homeless. All my stuff was in it, so it all went away. And when I get fearful, I actually have something I can reach back on now and say, is it as bad as that? Nope. We've all got something that we can look back at and say, is it as bad as that? Nope. Do what's next. That's it.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm okay. First of all, I'm sorry for both Declan and David. You know, it's the whole thing about living in the States and the guns. And anyway, anybody who deals with me on Facebook knows, right, how I feel about that. But no, it wasn't a gun pointed at my head, but I got invited to speak at my first conference, and I had actually been for courses. Transport Canada, when I was working for them, sent me to this big media relations course and how to speak in public and how to deal with the media and stuff. And, you know, I was supposedly trained in all that, but I did not want to do it. That was my biggest fear, but you know what? I knew I had to. And the day I showed up, I had a great big rash across the front of my face, and with a lot of great support and stuff, I got up and I did it, and I kept doing it, and you know what? You keep doing it. It's not so scary anymore. It gets to be it can be fun. It can actually get to be fun facing your fears.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we have one more inner world question and a few outer world hands-on questions. What do you guys want? Is that up to me?
Outer.
What was that? Outer?
Outer. Yeah, we need to answer some of
All
them.
right, let's hear outer. Okay, so this question is a follow-up from some of you guys at the beginning who recommended affiliate marketing. And the question is, if affiliate marketing is determined to be the way to start, just what steps need to be taken to implement? How about, well, you know what? Let's go with Rosalind, since she's the queen of affiliate marketing.
God, I knew you were going to do that. I just knew you were going to do that. Yeah.
And we're giving you a tiara. Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. They probably sell them on Amazon if you really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
And
for like 99 cents.
And you could use your affiliate link.
Yes.
To start, well, my thing is, you know, let's go back to the inner thing and passion is like pick that topic that has a market and start a blog about it. And yeah, and find products that match your topic, or talk about products that match your topic. I mean, I have a personal blog at rosalindgardner.com, and I monetize it a little bit, but just doing something as simple as keeping a daily journal, which I've seen so many people do, that enough people get interested in, and they find it entertaining or whatever. People start to make money. I mean, think about the guy who uploaded the YouTube video with the kid in the back of the car that had just come back from the dentist appointment, and he's going, "Is this real life?" Like, they bought a house based on that video,
David
right?
At the dentist.
So
yeah, David at the dentist.
You just never know what's going to hit, but you just keep working on it. As long as you enjoy what you're doing. So yeah, my thing is, if you love to write, start writing.
Okay, cool. Bill Guthrie, since you're the kid on the panel and you did that more recently than some, tell us how to start. What's the recommendation?
If I'm a kid at 41, we have a problem here. Affiliate marketing.
I think you're the kid. You're still the kid. Gotta say.
I do quite a bit of affiliate marketing, but I don't do it from a blog. I do it all from email. And so I built a list, and a very targeted list, and then I keep track of what kind of products are relevant to them, and I focus on, I know that audience, so I know what their needs are. I know I can anticipate what they might need. I can anticipate where they are, and I can ask questions about where they are, perhaps in a journey from here to there. And so I do quite a bit of promoting, but it's all through email. So I don't have, and I'm the one, I love to write, and I'm always like Rosalind says, start a blog. I'm always like, man, one of these days I'm absolutely going to start a blog. I sure would love to blog and blog on a regular basis. I would love to do it.
Bill.
That's something I don't have the time for because I'd love that. But that to me feels slow, and it feels a little arbitrary, and it's nothing against the model, but it feels arbitrary. I'm suddenly now having to just hope people will find the blog or something like that. So I try to that's why I go about building lists as much as possible, so I can direct the target, direct the traffic.
You could direct that target
All right,
to.
now you just.
I was just going to say you could direct that traffic to your blog.
Oh yeah. No, well you're right. I mean, no, if I could start a blog, I could definitely get some traffic to it, but I just have not gotten started. It's terrible.
Well, yeah, we all focus on different things. That's cool. But you just threw out build a list like it's nothing. Like, oh, just saying that. And and this is a topic obviously when we could have a whole series on just list building. We could have 5 hangouts that go 2 hours each just on list building. Now, obviously, you're good at driving traffic, so the person asking the question is asking for some steps. Just kind of give us a nutshell version of what methods you're using to drive traffic to your landing page or whatever you're using and how to capture those names.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that when you think about building a list, the simplest way to look at it is, am I going to build a list of people, are they going to get on my list for free, or are they going to have to pay to get on my list? And, so if they're going to get on your list for free, then you're probably going to try to give them something. So you're going to give them a free report. You're going to give them a free piece of software that's relevant. You're going to give them, access to a video that you've created that has training. So, you're either going to give them some kind of information or something that's valuable to them for them to get on your list. And then once they're on your list, there's, as you said, this could be a whole discussion unto itself.
Yeah. So how are you driving the traffic? Is it paid traffic?
I can definitely do some paid traffic. I don't do a lot of paid traffic. So I know that I think like day 3 or 4 is going to be the traffic discussion. So I don't want to steal any of their thunder.
So you just skirt the answer. Okay, all right.
No, well, what I would say is this, and back to what we were discussing, because we haven't gotten that far into it, whoever your target audience is, where are they? What are their behaviors? Where do you find them, and where do they exist online? And you can say, well, they're everywhere, but ultimately, you might want to be able to drill into that and say, where are those people? And if you know that they inhabit 20 really good websites, then buy some banner ads there and spend $200 that month. And I'm pretty sure with the right offer, you can start to build your list at a pretty profitable rate. I mean, that's a simple process. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Bill Davis, what do you think?
Yeah, I take kind of the completely opposite tack to Bill. I like the slow and steady route. But it goes back to what I think I said at the very beginning, and that is building assets. So I'm a big believer in building websites, building authority-type sites, sites that you can put a lot of content into. And what you do is you're building an authority site, and you can still maintain that or use that as an affiliate marketing gateway. And you drive traffic there. Most of the traffic you drive there, you're not really driving it. If you're writing good content, people are going to come. They really will. But you can throw paid traffic at it. You can do all sorts of things. But if you build good content, a good website that's a useful resource.
If you build it, they will come. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I believe that, and I've done that. And it doesn't take as much time as people might think. You do have to pick, a niche that people are, really want to know about, and you have to provide really good content. You can't throw up PLR crap and spun content and all that junk. I think you have to write it yourself. It has to come from knowledge, experience. It has to come from the heart. We're real business people, and real business people are passionate about what they do. They don't do it half-assed. They just go all out, and that's the way I do it. And You know, if you build an asset like a website, that it becomes not only the place where you can sell affiliate products, but it becomes the place where you can sell your own product, and it becomes something that you can sell later on down the road if your priorities change. So that's what I would do. And in the meantime, you could build your list by offering a free report or a small, a small report that, might be $5, $10, $15, whatever the market will bear. I mean, you can test all that stuff. You can build your list that way. So you can build a list of buyers, you can build a list of prospects, and treat those lists, slightly differently, so that you can, sell them all sorts of things that they might need.
Okay. Terri Levine, did you have any thoughts on that?
I do. I'm all about guerrilla marketing, which is low and no cost marketing. So I don't even bother. I tell clients don't even put up a website. So this is going to sound really opposite what some of the other folks on the panel are saying. I basically say put up a Facebook business page and a Facebook personal page, and start doing some really exciting posts on your personal page and on your business page. Start forming some very niched groups with your target audience and putting up some really great high content posts about your expertise. So really sharing what you're expert at and beginning to drive large numbers of people to follow you as a credible expert, and getting those people to know who you are, and getting to like you, and getting to know you, and getting to really see you as a credible expert. And that's how I've built lists, massive lists of people. And then after I had massive followings, then I put up a website and then allowed them to go download content. But not until I had massive followings using just one social media source, which my preferred choice happens to be Facebook for very specific reasons. So I know it's a little bit different than what others are saying, but that's a way that I do it that's completely low and no cost.
Well, that's why we have a panel, because we got all these different viewpoints and expertise, and so, yeah, gotta love it. Declan, I'm curious what you have to say. Today, how would you recommend people get started in affiliate marketing? What are the steps?
On affiliate marketing, it's the same as anything. You're either going to be a creator or you're going to be someone who is a curator. And what I mean by that is, because a lot of times we say create your content. Well, one of the very first things when you're starting out is, can you write? Can you generate? I mean, do you realize 10 to 20% of people in social media generate all the content and the rest watch? That's serious research. There's very few people who are creators, and a lot of people might say, like, I'm a writer, so that's right in my wheelhouse, and you're absolutely right. Create the content, get a following, and get people to not only know, like you, but seriously trust you, because that currency is something no one can take. But if you're not a creator, there's this whole thing about gathering other people. There's so much content out there now, so much, that if you can cut through the filter and find the best, and partner with those people, feature them, and share their content. You don't have to be the creator. You have to be the one who sifts through the haystack to find those needles, to find the really good stuff. Companies are building massive revenue off of this simply because you're either really good at creating content, or if you can develop the skill to almost editorialize a niche and build a following, all those people don't have time to follow 10,000 people anymore. So, and the last thing I would say is, when you're either a curator or a creator, in the end, that trust they have for you is what links you in. And if you start out, I had a friend who actually did this with his blog, just loved to write and loved his audience. And he comes up to me and says, I had 600 people on my list. And I'm like, oh, well, good luck with that. That must be hard to monetize. He goes, no, I know every one of them by name. I talk with them. I built a relationship. And I was like, really? Yeah, what do you mean? He goes, I love them. And he went out and did his first marketing to them after 4 months. He sold 200 of them a $200 a month coaching program. Okay? It's not the size of your list. It's how much they love you. And remember that. It's not about big lot. I would rather have 1,000 really targeted people than 10,000 people that I can brag about. So watch. In fact, one of my last things I'll say, watch out for the people with the big numbers. The ones with the small ones are doing a little bit better.
Yeah, you know, it tends to be guys who think that size matters. Really.
Nice.
Zane gets to test out the sound effects. All right.
I did want to say real quick that when we talk about curation and creating content, I didn't have to say a dang thing here, and I am helping to create and curate content all at the same time by dragging all of you panelists in here. So thanks for doing the job.
However, the rest of us do have
Smart guy.
things, and we're also helping create content. So yeah.
Yeah.
I want to make a comment about what Terry and some other folks here were saying about the affiliate marketing startup thing.
Okay.
Because I go to the other end. I don't start with a website or anything. I find the program that I want to promote, and it's based on the people that run the program, the products that they have, and the type of affiliate program they have. I seriously believe in that mantra that we all heard long ago and didn't pay any attention to, which is do the work once, get paid forever. You know, and that to me is what affiliate marketing is about. I want to find programs that tag me in their software system and then pay me a residual commission for my list in their system. And there are programs out there that do that. And the key is they have to have a good relationship with their list. They're then becoming your salespeople. So I'm wanting those folks to drive them into the list, driving them to the program like that. And I will buy traffic and actually send to somebody else's program because I get a continuing return on that from those folks. I don't have any relationship with those people, but the people who I send the traffic to does, and I rely on them to sell over and over that way.
Okay, David, can you just clarify, what do you mean when you say program as opposed to product?
Membership sites, platforms, people who have Infusionsoft, by the way, can create something called lifetime referrals, not lifetime cookies. I'm talking about software tagging in their system, or A-member systems or digital access pass. Those people who have those type programs, and there are others, can set it up as lifetime referrals. And when I send somebody to their program, their software platform, and they're set up for the lifetime tagging, I own that person in that system. So whenever they send a promotion, I get commissions. So it's great motivation to do that. And by the way, my program does that too. So that's the way we work.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Does anyone else have anything to add on getting started in affiliate marketing?
I just wanted to say that even ClickBank has the same thing with their subscription services as well.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go. There's another question here. This one comes from Sandy from Pennsylvania, and she wants to know, how do I do market research? And specifically, she wants to coach human resources managers. So who wants to talk about market research and some advice for her? Bill Davis, it looks like you're up. Oh, Declan, go for it.
I actually just did this for human resources, a field I knew nothing about.
Okay.
So I'll tie into how I actually did this, and I really mean this. When I say start like the customer, I want to go to a search engine. Where do I find the answer if I don't know? And what I found were the people who are in front of the audience. Who are the people, again, curating or creating content? Who are the people already in front of the audience? As Mark Twain said, the secret to success is find out where the people are meeting and get there first. And in human resources, there's a site called talentculture.net that's wonderful. It was really easy to see because they're very social. They have big lists, and they're open to doing guest blog posts. So it was a really dream way to actually leverage their traffic, and they want to do it because we would give them content. So if you're looking for human resources, all you want to do is look at LinkedIn, look at Facebook a little bit, though with business it's not usually the best. But look at LinkedIn and Twitter and just start seeing from the people who are really got large followings, start seeing who they follow and start seeing the sites they follow, because it's not a big universe. I mean, I found out in human resources, like I actually probably took me about 4 to 6 hours of researching who's out there, finding out who they talk about, because it's a very small world. All our markets are. So go out and do your research, but you know, it's amazing to me. Everyone, one of the things we always joke about in our marketing circles is somebody goes, how do I find this? We go to Google, and they just never do. And I'm like, it's crazy. So like, just use this, like, and use social media, because everyone is like a few degrees away from you, and they're way smarter than you, and they already know where all the human resources people are. And there's probably about 3 or 4 sites and about 5 to 10 people who everyone listens to, and then there's a second tier. Start negotiating, start working with them. So.
Okay, good advice. Anyone else have anything to add on market research? Bill?
Yeah, I mean, kind of the standard answer in our industry is to go to, again, you go to Google and you type in whatever niche you're interested in, and you type in addition to that, forum, and you go find the forums where people hang out. And you kind of lurk around. You become a member, lurk around, find out what, the pain points are, find out what people are having problems with, and see if people are providing solutions to those problems. And if they're not, there's a big market for you, maybe, potentially. But if they are, you could certainly reach out to them. I mean, it is a very small world nowadays. You could reach out to them and ask or find out what they're doing. You can go to their websites. You can buy their product and see what that thing is. That's it.
Okay, good. Anybody else want to add to that before we move on?
Yes, I would like to.
Okay,
I think also in conjunction with that is go to Amazon. See the books in those categories. See the books people are buying, and the ones that say this person also bought these books, in the same, and you can do a flow chart almost on what to do with the market research from the books people have bought.
Yeah, some very good strategies.
And one great thing to do at Amazon is Raleigh, right? You look at the 1-star reviews and you look at the 5-star reviews. You want to know what drives your customer to buy, or even better, look at the 1 stars. The person who didn't get what they want tells you so much more than the people who are telling you that, and your USP, your message is like almost written for you. I study more about what people say positively, negatively, because that tells you what your market wants.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
I've used media kits with some success. So if you can find major publications within any given market, kind of niche market, and if they have, they've got media kits. A lot of those media kits, because they're selling advertising, they'll tell you as much information as they have about their readership, their age, their gender, all types of demographic information, and that can be really valuable, especially if you kind of have the idea, like, I think I might like to speak to this audience. I think it would be very helpful to know who that audience is, and that is, down to gender, age, educational level, and things like that. And I found a lot of success with that.
Yeah, you can do really well by going to online newsrooms for that information as well. It's just a title, online newsrooms. If you go to Google, you'll see the buildup of it. But I have a whole program on online newsrooms just for that purpose. Many people call it a media room. Do not, because then you'll get Jerry's audio, and all that other stuff in media room. But go look for press room or newsroom or online newsroom, and you'll be amazed at the information that you can glean without having to go into press kits and have them mailed or sent or carry them, etc. It's all right there.
Okay, good. So there might be a slight technical difficulty with Heather. You still with us? She said that her audio may have dropped out. So if that's the case, then I will happily grab the baton here, right? She says, nope, lost it. Okay. So again, this is exactly what we were talking about at the very beginning of the Hangout, that sometimes technology just kind of throws you a curveball, and our moderator, Heather, seems to have lost her audio. So maybe she can go find it. If not, not a problem. Right? So, not a problem. We'll just go ahead and roll with it. We're having a really good conversation, so no need to stop a good thing. So with that said, we are just about 15 minutes away from the 2-hour mark, and that's basically all the blackmail and stuff that I had to do to bring all these people here. Like the commitment was 2 hours, right? So feel free to take off after 2 hours. But if you want to stick around and kind of carry on the conversation, by all means, go ahead. So let's finish up with some final thoughts for the last 10 minutes of the 2 hours. And again, there's still people who want to talk, and there are people who are still watching. We can still keep going until the hangout dies its own natural death. But again, for those of you
That's
who
so
are
horrible.
have time commitment. Oh, here we go.
Yeah,
Last man standing.
Fixed my tech difficulties. I'm back. Let's just mute it 1 second. Okay, I'm in a semi-public location where there's that goes on sometimes. Anyway, yeah. So you want to go on to final thoughts then? All right, let's have final thoughts from David.
Thoughts. So we didn't talk a lot about specifics and details on technical stuff for these folks tonight about how to get started, and I think that's really not only appropriate but actually absolutely right, because those aren't the things that are going to stop you from being successful online. It's all the other stuff that we talked about that is so critical to getting over yourself, basically. I mean, if you want to have a business online, you got to have the right mind for it. You got to make up your mind to do it. We hit on a couple of things tonight I thought was really important. One was the mindset, and everybody on here said don't believe the people who tell you it's not a lot of work. Having a business of any kind is a lot of work. If I do less than 40 hours a week, it's a great week. I work a lot, but I work at what I want to work at, and I work when I want to work. So that's the trade-off for me, and I love doing what I do. I don't want to do anything else. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Michael, what are your final thoughts?
Okay, couple of things come to mind. One is I think that in order to get started, you just got to get started, and I think that a lot of people hang back because they feel like they've got to have their website just right, and they've got to have their list server just right, and they've got to have all these pieces of this what looks like a huge gigantic puzzle, and they're thinking I can't launch, I can't really get started until I have all these things in place. And my advice to those people would be to just get started. You've got to take that first step. It's if you want to get good at something, you've got to be willing to be bad at it at first. So none of us looked real good the first time we walked. None of us, gave a great speech the first time we gave a speech. It's just one of those things you got to build the bridge as you walk on it. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is there are a lot of technical aspects and a lot of pieces to the puzzle, but you can hire people to do that. I mean, there's a website called Fiverr.com, Fiverr.com. They can actually get your website up. They can actually do stuff for very little money. It's amazing the things that people will do for very little money. And when I got my website up in 1996, I hired somebody at a couple $100 just to get it going, because I knew that once it was up, then I could start tweaking it, then I could understand it. But if I'd waited until I figured out how to create a website, which back then was a lot more difficult than it is today, then I might not have ever gotten it going. So just get started, be willing to hire some people at very little money to get some things done, and you'll be surprised at how much progress you can make.
All right, now we got to start singing the Black Eyed Peas. Yeah.
Why?
Why? Started in here.
Let's get it started in here.
Yeah. All right, Terry, what are your final words?
It's a risk to be an entrepreneur, but if you have the passion for it, you need to do it. And just make sure that whatever your business passion is, there is a niche for it. There are people who want it and that are going to spend the money on it, so that it's not going to be a hobby. So yes, it does take some research. Make sure that you have a point of differentiation, a core unique positioning statement. And I want to just reiterate, yes, it does take work. We're the real deal here. There's a lot of people who are going to tell you you can work a few hours a week and get it done. I don't buy that. I don't think that's the true story. It takes a lot of hours a week to get it done. and you just have to put one foot in front of the other. You will have negative thoughts. There will be times that you have fear, and it just takes keep going, keep going. Surround yourself with mentors, surround yourself with like-minded people, and in the times when you get scared or you just don't know what to do, call upon mentors to help you and call upon like-minded people to help you. Just keep going.
Okay. Raleigh, what are your final thoughts for the day?
There is a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It can be today's rainbow. It can be tomorrow's rainbow. There's always a pot of gold. So keep your shiny rag with you, because you may need to shine some of those parts of the pot up. But it works. It does work. I'm a living example of that. I started in 1980 in a closet, a serious closet, and without a chair, without anything, and here I am. It's 1980. It's 2014. That's a lot of years later, and I am still alive and kicking and growing and even learning from my peers who are on this wonderful panel, who are learning from me, and I hope. And it goes on and on and on. That's what life is. It's a beautiful thing. Just believe in it. And tell all those people that are negative to go away. Pay them. Give them candy. Find the macaroni in the pile. Give it to them. Just get them out of your hair and do it.
Yeah, and she brought up a Simple Minds song, Alive and Kicking. So we got lots of songs in this. All right, Rosalind Gardner, what are your final thoughts?
Everything everybody said so far is so right, and I totally agree with Raleigh in terms of, reject the naysayers, because you're going to hear lots of that. If you say, I'm going to start an internet business, just do it, and like Nike says, and enjoy the process. And David, 40-hour work weeks don't last forever, and yes, I'm one of those people who doesn't work a lot. Maybe 4 hours a week, or more when I want to, but it's you have to work hard. I put in a lot of hours. I basically did 3 full-time jobs when I was starting, and don't regret a moment of it, because it was great fun, and I get to hang out with really cool people.
Nice. All right, Bill Davis, what are your final thoughts?
Well, I have 3 main points. Number 1 is, kind of my mantra is I teach people how to do stuff on the internet. So if you say, viewers out there, if you say that, this technical stuff is getting in the way and I can't do this and I can't do that, well, like somebody had mentioned earlier, Fiverr, there's lots of places, there's Odesk, there's me, there's other people who could teach you to do things, how to do things, or do them for you. Now, I believe, in the saying that, teach a man to fish, but that should never be an excuse. The technical stuff should never be an excuse. That's a cop-out. That's a reason for you to validate why you're failing or not being successful. That's number 1. Number 2, don't get into the analysis paralysis. We spend a lot of time planning, and this has to be perfect and blah blah blah. And you would think that my coming from a web design background, that I would want I would want my website to be perfect before I launched it. No, I don't. I put it up there. I go out there, and ready, aim, fire is not something I do. It's more like fire, fire, fire. And the last thing is, and this really kills a lot of people, and I'm guilty of it too, and I think it has to do with a lack of focus, because I see squirrels too. Don't buy a bunch of crap. We tend to be consumers when we should be creators or curators, but I think of curating as creating a place where people want to go to find all of the stuff that they might want to consume. So be that person, be the creator, don't be the consumer. That doesn't mean you can't buy a course here and there to learn specific things, but don't buy every shiny object that you see, because you're not going to be able to get anything done. And I guarantee you're going to buy that stuff, never read it, never put it to use, and you're going to go to the next thing and buy it again. That is the worst thing that we all do. We're all guilty of it. Some of us are better at it than others from, refraining from doing that. But I bet you we've all done that.
And how ironic that Bill is talking about not letting tech failure be an excuse as he's speaking to us with a completely black screen. No excuse, Bill. At least we heard you speaking. At least we heard your voice.
No idea. I see me.
Yeah, okay, that's cool. Speaking of tech failing, we've had Declan. Declan dropped off, but he's back. So before we lose him again, Declan, what are your final thoughts?
As an entrepreneur, I wasn't a born entrepreneur. Basically, no one would hire me, so I learned to be an entrepreneur. And one of the things you learn in the early days is it really is just up to you. It's like not just not having a bad day, but really realizing it's all ups and downs. But as one of my favorite movies, Elizabethtown, says, has this quote, if it wasn't this, it'd be something else. You can find every reason why something won't work, and it's one of the hardest lessons anyone has to learn. It's a continual learning kind of thing. But you got to get into the habit of looking and really looking at this as a learning, as everything is learning. You're constantly learning. You're not just choosing this, but if you had a job, you'd have the same thing. So it's not like learning isn't just limited to entrepreneurs, but keeping that interest. And, really, I think the biggest thing I see with the people I work with is to not only get off their own backs, because we're hardest on ourselves, but it reminds me, last thing I'll say is something Bill Myers, who was a mid-'90s direct marketing guru, still around, but he was really big then. He was talking to my friend Jonathan Mizell, and he said, Jonathan, what would you do if you had $1 million, right? And Jonathan's like, I'd go fly fishing, because that's what Jonathan loves to do. And Bill just looked at him and says, Jonathan, you don't need $1 million to go fly fishing. Do what you love. Don't let the money be the excuse. And just, it's the same thing. Just keep on the path, because no matter what you do, you're going to have to do it anyway. So just keep on the path. Stop getting freaked out. And did I learn this quickly? No, it took me 4 or 5 years, okay? And that's just my own path. But now that I learn it, it still comes up. I still do things that are totally off. Rosalind, you're my hero. 4 hours a week. I'm not even close to that. But now I have something to aspire to. But you know what? If you're having fun and you're working 60 hours, I know guys like that. And I know women like that. And that's the key, is they're not burnt out. I wouldn't recommend that to most, but the thing is, make sure you're enjoying the ride, because it is a ride.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and Bill Guthrie, what are your final thoughts?
My thoughts are, I'm kind of sitting here in awe of of the panel, so there's that. My thoughts kind of connect around this idea that, given the audience tonight, if they are genuinely here because they want to learn about starting online, it has to do with this connection of whatever path you decide to go down. If you want to be an affiliate, if you want to be a product creator, if you want to, whatever the thing is, treat it like you're starting a business. And not to treat it like a hobby, because I think that once you say, well, this is just this thing I'm going to kind of dabble around in, let me tell you what you'll do. You're going to spend too much money on stuff that you don't need, maybe from us, by the way, buy our stuff, and you're giving yourself a really, really easy way to fail, because it's a hobby, how many hobbies have we had in our life? And so I would just say to focus and treat it like it's a real business. It could be a 1 hour a week business, but in that 1 hour, it's business mode for you. So you're focused, you're energized, you've got a purpose, and you're in a no-fail zone. So that's kind of it for me.
Okay, awesome. Well, you know what, guys? This has been a fantastic roundtable tonight. We've gone into areas that not a lot of people talk about when they teach internet marketing, which is just how to market on the internet. I'm not talking specifically about that niche, but selling things online, marketing things online. When we're talking about getting started, a lot of people miss the things that we talked about tonight, which are crucial. Now, obviously, as we've mentioned, it's a balance. Life is yin and yang. Everything's yin and yang. And we do have 4 more sessions coming up where we will talk more about the hands-on how-to with various other experts, 40 experts in all. Speaking of that, tomorrow night is copywriting, funnels, and persuasion. So we're going to start taking it to the next step, how to write so that people want what you have, so they understand the benefits, so they understand what you're offering, how to persuade them that what you have is of benefit to them and of value to them. And so that's kind of the next step in the process, and I'll have Zane talk a little bit more about that. But I want to thank all of you for being here and being part of this collaborative process, because we wouldn't have had all this great information come out if we didn't have a variety of people with different levels of expertise, different talents, different passions, and coming together and making a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. So thank you, all of you, for being a part of this.
Thank you.
All right, and Zane, can you give us a little bit more about tomorrow? Let us know who the panelists are and what we can expect with copywriting, funnels, and persuasion.